Bella, you brat. Goodness. Hey, everybody. All right. She just has to see what's going on. She's so nosy. So, I just finished up running some intervals today, and I thought it would be really fun for us to go back and take a look at the different workouts over a period of time. So not just any workouts, but the same workout. Because it's okay, so this is really, I think, the third time that I've actually recorded the video for today. And it's just because I keep thinking about different ways we might be able to share good information with one another. And when I had recorded this earlier, I made the remark to the camera, to you guys, that I felt like when I was running the intervals today, I was going maybe a little slower than what I had been in the past. But then I thought, well, is that really true, or is it just my gut feeling? So I thought I would share with you guys how you can go into Garmin and you can easily and quickly compare up to 4 different workouts side by side. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick out 3 different workouts, and it's going to be the same one. So I think it'll be really fun for us to take a look at. So what I mean by that is I'm going to go back when I was training for the Bayshore Marathon. I'm going to look at week number 4, day number 2, running intervals, because I ran the same exact workout plan or training block for Bayshore, Detroit, and now for Boston. So I'm going to look at week 4, day 2, running intervals for all 3 of those, because today is week 4 and day 2. And I ran the interval. So I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to basically looking at the same exact workout over the course of a year at 3 different points in time, but the same points in time of that training block. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you how you guys can do that for yourself through connect.garmin.com. And I think it'd be really interesting to take a look at to see if my gut feeling that I'm running a little bit slower today than what I have been in the past is really true, or if that was just the sense that I got. Okay, so I'm going to grab my water, because I'm all showered up, I'm ready to go. And I'm going to head upstairs to my computer, and we're going to sit down and we're going to take a look at Garmin and those workouts over the course of the last year. All right. So let's take a look at how we can compare different run activities in Garmin. But before I do that, I do want to say thank you to everyone who's commented on previous videos. And I'm going to give a special shout out to Lee. On a previous video, I had made some sweet potatoes and black bean burgers, and that was last Saturday. And I'm still enjoying those. Well, I was up until now, because I just had the last one. That's what's so great about making something like that in advance, because you can keep them in the refrigerator, or you can freeze them and pull them out later. I chose not to freeze them. I just ate mine in 5 consecutive days, but those are all gone. So I think this Saturday I'll be making another dish. And I don't see any reason why we need to reinvent the wheel. So I'm going to be preparing some meal or some dish that elite athletes have had in the past to help them prepare to go out and compete. But if you have a favorite recipe or something that you want to share, like Lee did for his, well, I'm going to call it, Lee, I'm going to give it a name, the Get Up and Go Smoothie by Lee. I really appreciate it, and I know that others do too. And something that really kind of resonated with me is when I looked at the ingredients that you put in yours. I would say 90% of what I put in the smoothies that I typically make, I include in there. But something that I haven't done in a while is adding ginger, which helps to settle your stomach. And sometimes I can have a bit of stomach upset, get that runner stomach. So thanks again, Lee. I'm going to make that same exact smoothie, or pretty close to it, my version of your Get Up and Go smoothie, tomorrow before I go out on my recovery run. So, all right, having said that, for today's intervals, the only real difference from the other 2 that we're going to be comparing is I had on a heart rate monitor, and it's my brand new one, which I absolutely love, by the way. It's so much more comfortable than the one that I was using previously that I don't have in front of me right now. And it gives me a lot more data. And some of the data, for example, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but some of the data that I got is ground contact from my left and my right foot. And I thought that was really interesting, because you would expect it to be close to 50-50, but my left foot was on the ground, or had more ground contact time than my right foot. And that kind of makes sense, because when I was looking at the help information as to why that might be. Sometimes you can get differences or variations between the amount of ground contact between your right and left if you're running speed work like I was today, or if you're injured. And the left leg, the one that spent more time on the ground, is the one where I've had some hamstring issues prior to starting this training block that I'm still kind of working through, but to be honest, it feels pretty darn good. So now, having said all of that, what we're going to do is you need to go to Garmin Connect or connect.garmin.com. And I'm sorry, I'm looking away at my computer because for some reason I had scrolled off that page. And let's see, I need to go down here and hit screen record so that I can record this and post it along as well. Okay, so now that you have that up and I have screen record going, and I'm actually going to record all of it. I'm going to hit go. So you're going to want to scroll all the way over to the left-hand side. Now, I'm also going to put Garmin's directions on how to do this up here, but they're terrible. I'm sorry, Garmin, but if you're trying to follow their directions, you're never going to get it to work. So that's kind of also why I wanted to share this with you guys, in case you want to compare some of your run activities. So, all right, I'm going to go all the way over to the left-hand side. Go down to where it says all activities and click on that. Now that's going to bring up everything. Now that has my yoga, all that kind of stuff. I don't care about that right now. So I'm going to click on my little runner guy. So that brings up just my run activities. Now I suggest that you take a second and jot down the different workouts that you want to compare. It'll just make it easier when you go to try to find them. And I've already done that. So the 3 dates that I'm looking at is February 28th, 2022. So that was week 4, day 2, remember, running the same exact intervals. And then July 18th, 2022. And then today, January, which is January 18th, 2023. So it's basically over the course of a full year. And then what you can do, now it just depends on the order that you put them in, because it's going to compare them side by side, and it's going to do a little bit of an overlay, which is really cool. All right, so the first thing you're going to want to do is to click on or open the one that you're most interested in taking a look at. And the reason that you're going to click on it, now I just highlighted it here, and there's a difference. Again, I wanted to make sure that I showed you that difference, because this is where Garmin's directions aren't that clear. What I've done to make it work for me is I actually opened this up, and now you can see the workout for today. But I want to compare them. So I'm going to go all the way up over to the right-hand side. At the very top, and you can see a little gear. Click on that gear. And then you've got a lot of other choices there. But the very first one is compare. All right, so then that brings me back to that whole list. Now you're going to want to scroll down to find the other ones that you want to compare it to. And I'm going to go back now. I'll get my little paper out here. So I'm working back in time, so I'm going to go back to July 18th. So I'm going to keep scrolling down until I get to July 18th. Sorry, this takes a second. There's a lot of activities here. And as I'm doing that, Lee, I'm looking forward to trying that smoothie out tomorrow. Maybe I'll make it later today. I don't know. Okay, so July 18th, there we go. Now don't open it like you did the last one. If you do that, it's not going to work. All you want to do is kind of slide over to that open space and just highlight it. Okay, so this is where Garmin isn't very clear. And then you're going to see up here where it says you can compare this. I'm comparing 2 of 4, but I want to keep going. So I'm going to go all the way back to let's see, February 28th, 2022. So I'm going to keep scrolling down here until I get to February. Yeah, let's see, March, we're getting there. Oh, February 28th, intervals. Okay, so again, I want to click over away from into the bar, but not on the words. And then if we go up here at the top, all we have to do now is click that blue button where it says compare 3 of the 4. Okay. And as soon as I click on that, now it has all 3 of those different workouts. And the very first thing at the top, because I didn't run all 3 of them the same exact loop, but I did run 2 of them pretty close to the same, the same kind of general area here in town. There's a little bit of variations there. We can take a look to see what that looks like on an overlay. And then they've got all 3 of those in graph form right below that. And you can see, let's see how they have these laid out. So we've got today's is the first one. So that's in red. Oh, and the other thing I want to note too is I enabled the elevation correction on my Garmin Fenix 6, which isn't enabled on the others. So even though I ran basically the same route, the elevations aren't going to be exactly the same because they were running off of my watch solely. But since I corrected it based on survey data for the run for today, there's going to be a little bit of difference. Make sense? Okay. So, and that's the least important, but I just thought I'd point it out. Okay, so red, and then it looks like blue, and then purple. So that's today is in red, and then July 18th, working back in time, is the blue, and then the purple was a year ago. But what's cool, and I'm going to speed this up because you can go here, and I'm going to click on 240, so it makes it go pretty fast. But if you click on the go button, you can see it, kind of me chasing myself around on the area of the run that I did up here. And then you can see how they're compared along graph form down here as well. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. Maybe not the most important information that's there, but visually, well, that was pretty cool. And I think that if I were to run the same route for all three of those different workouts, it would be even cooler to see. But here you can see there's a little bit of variations in the routes that I ran. Okay, so that's pretty cool. But now if we scroll down, here's where we get into the real heart of the comparison, because it compares all of the different data. So today, for example, if I look at distance, I ran 7.29 miles. In July, it was 7.1 miles. And then back in February, it's 7.07 miles. So clearly, I was faster because I ran the same exact workout. But I ran a little bit farther. And then you can see the time was basically the same. Although a year ago, I actually ran a couple extra minutes. So I was even slower yet than what that shows. And then, so average pace, 7:42 today, 7:55 in July, 8:12 back in February. And then average moving pace, I'll skip by that. So we've been talking a lot about heart rate. So here we have my average heart rate for today was 152 beats per minute. I'm pretty good with that for the most part, especially for being just the start of week 4, because it will get a little bit better over time. Now, it was a little better in July at 150 beats per minute, but then it was 162 beats back in February. This is the biggest difference, though, and this really is what kind of jumped out at me when it comes to heart rate. My max heart rate today was 167 beats per minute. That was my max, running full speed basically for the intervals. But in July, it was 176, and then in February, it's 187. So my max heart rate has definitely come down, even though my pace was relatively the same. So that is good news. So I'm not going to go through all of this data, but I think we're going through enough of it where you can see that it's a pretty cool feature that Garmin has available. Overall, I think it's pretty good information to have. I think I am trending in the right direction, which is good to know. Okay, so that's it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it for you. As always, run tall, run strong, be kind to one another. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on Run Tall with Tim.